Okay, it looks like it's starting to connect. So if anybody's watching out there and you're watching a recording of this, do fast forward about 4 minutes before we get started here. Andy's with me as he always is, and he's letting me know whether or not this connects. Okay, let's see. Let's check in and see if there's anybody out there I need to say hi to. Okay, looks like we're connected on Facebook from what I can tell. Hello. Ha Jinx. Okay. Don't know what that means. All right. Ooh, it's a hot mess on this on this workbench, huh? All right, let's focus in a little bit until we get started. Another 3 minutes here. You know, so what's funny is, not funny. So here's while you're all hanging out. So I had a student contact me this weekend and asked me what I did with my mixed metal scraps. Okay, and you know, if you have mixed metal scraps, how do you store it? Which container do you store it in? Do you store it in the silver or do you store it in the copper? And I was thinking, well, actually, when I have a good piece like this, I hang on to it and I'm going to use it. And actually, her question comes from the project that we did last week, the step-by-step surprise project. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I do have a piece of scrap that's sitting on my desk that I need to get rid of. And what I would do, and I know she hated this answer, and I'm sure most of you are going to hate this answer too, but you know that I do save just about everything and have it recycled. So despite the fact that this piece is tiny, I'm going to unsolder it and put it into my silver scrap and put it into my copper scrap. So there's the answer you didn't want, I know. But I thought it might be interesting to share. I don't know what you all do with your mixed metal scraps. I know most people probably just throw it away. You can't exactly just put it into your silver and churn it in, because then that lessens your value. You want to make sure that your silver is pretty clean when you turn it in, because they do make a decision on how they're going to credit you on that. And they take a look at your scrap, and if they think it's questionable, they're just going to reduce the price. So that's something to think about. But if you really don't want to go through the process, I guess you should just put it into the copper and then recycle it that way, because you know you're actually heightening the value of the copper, not lowering the value, and thus they should be giving you full value for the copper. Not that copper really is going to take pounds and pounds to yield any real money when you take it up to the scrapyard. Been there, done that. It's like, that's it, huh? I thought I had like 10 pounds here. You're giving me $3. Wow, that's great. But no wonder why these scrappers have like truckloads of metal, because you need a truckload to get anywhere. I mean, really, I don't know if you've all heard, but what I do is I do go to the scrapyard and I do take my metal scraps up there, because it's mostly about recycling. It's not necessarily about the money. So when we were moving, I had some of these metal shelving, right? And they were really rotted out. It was very rusty, so I thought that I would just take it to the scrapyard instead of putting it in the dumpster. And literally an entire shelf, granted they were not the heaviest and nicest of shelving, and that's why they were rotted out, but in any case, I think I got like $2.72 for one whole like 6 shelf metal rack. It's not a lot of money. Is it really worth your effort for the money? No. Is it worth the effort for the environment? Yes. And I always made sure that I didn't drive out of my way to do this, because again, it's self-defeating on that effort of being an environmentalist or a conservationist, right? So I always made sure that it was on my way, and it was literally only 1.5 miles out of my way to do this. So that made it worth it. I'm not driving 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 20 minutes out of my way to do this. So something to think about, you know, as you're looking at your scrap metal and whatnot, because not many people do save their scrap metal and turn it in. But, you know, all these things, again, it adds up over time. And if we're going to try to help the environment, this one way of doing it. Anyway, we're going to start here. Oh, it's 101, all that talking. Ha, here we are. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Today is Monday, February 1st. Oh, my gosh, it's the first day of February. Tomorrow, Groundhog's Day. Ooh, wonder what's going to happen. What's it? Punxsutawney? Anyway, so I'm excited today. Andy's like, wow, you're fluttering around here. What's up? I'm excited because we're starting a new series called Motley Metal Mondays. Motley because, you know, variety of color. And what we're doing is it's going to be a series, an enamel series. So right now I already have the next 8 projects posted for enameling. And every week we're going to be a different project, but all enamel based. So I'm really excited about that to get started. And for those of you who are joining in with the Motley Metal Kit, I sent out some instructions last night, and I'm going to build on those instructions every week. So if you're printing, you might end up printing 8 times. I probably wouldn't print it until the end, and then you'll have one big collection all together. So for those of you who haven't purchased the kit yet, it is still available if you're looking for the kit, and it is on the Q Talk Facebook page. I'm simulcasting today on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and my other Facebook. 2 Facebook pages. Anyway, so all the information is mostly on the Q Talk Facebook page is where I post the information. So do join that group over there. It is open and it is public, so you can always view it. And it'll tell you what's coming up the following week or what's going on this week. And that's where you'll find a link to the Motley Metal Kit if you want to join along. You know, it's just lots of little parts and pieces. You probably have enamels and all that good stuff, and that's great. And that's what you're going to need to do this project. So today we are going to be doing the Shot Through the Heart project because Valentine's Day is coming up. So we're just going to do a couple heart projects in the next week or so, which is pretty cool. For me anyway. And we'll go from there. But this is what we'll be doing today. And let me go over what you're going to need, okay? So let's get started. So today you're going to need a bench block. You'll need a chasing hammer at some point. We'll need a leather mallet and lots of little hand tools. So I've got my multi-looping plier, but of course you don't have to have a multi-looping plier. You can use a round nose plier today. A hole punch of some sort. So depending on who you are, some people love these hand punches and some people love the 2-hole. I'm the 2-hole camp, although I will be using this one today. So whatever, you just need to make a small hole for where the jump ring and is going to go in at the very top, okay? So those are your tools. You'll need some shears. I have both straight and curved shears. I'm going to show you how to use both of them for this project. It'll make life a lot easier to have both, but at the very least you do need to have the straight ones. Pair of chain nose pliers is also helpful today. And if you don't have a disc cutter, you're going to need a jeweler's saw and some saw blades to cut out the hole. I'm not going to go through cutting out the hole today because I covered it on Wednesday of last week. So you can look back at the step-by-step surprise twisted project to see how to do that. I'm going to do a quick and easy today because there's plenty to talk about without having to go through sawing a hole. Okay, for enameling, what you'll need is you'll need some penny bright. By the way, all of these items can be found on our website at theurbanbeater.com. So you'll need some penny bright to do some cleaning with. You can also use, I believe, some people like Barkeeper's Friend, and there's a lot of other cleaners out there. What you don't want to use is you don't want to use the copper cleaner that's in the gray container that you find at like the drugstore or even the supermarket because it has oils in there. Why we like Penny Bright is because it's really clean and there's nothing in there that's harmful, and it doesn't say may cause cancer on the side either. So it's all food grade ingredients that make up this product. So that's why we like it a lot. Okay. You'll need a sifter today and transparent enamels. That's how we're going to achieve this. effect today is with transparent enamels. Some counter enamel will also be very helpful. Some 18 gauge copper, some jump rings, some 20 gauge for the earring wires if you don't already have earring wires, and a texture sheet that I am now missing off my workbench. Oh, I know where it is. Sorry. Oy, oy, oy. I was prepping ahead of time and I put it in the pickle. Don't you hate it when you lose things in your pickle? You don't lose it, you just forget that it's there. But anyway, so here's my copper, my copper texture plates, okay, is what I'm using. By the way, if you're looking for copper texture plates, do take a look at contenti.com. I'm sorry, not contenti.com. What is it, honey? Oh my gosh, Metalliferous. Oh geez. Okay, so do take a look at metalliferous.com. They've been very, very supportive of what I'm doing here. And so let's give them a shout out and, you know, send them some love. But anyway, that's where you get all your nice texture plates, okay? So what else do we need? Oh, why do I have flyers here? Because I'm using this instead of magazine pages. But of course, if you don't have flyers, use magazine pages. So, and also, you know, since I didn't get to go anywhere to pass these out, I'm just going to use it to my advantage here. That's what that is. You'll also need some sort of a template to, unless you can cut a perfect heart or draw a perfect heart, you might want to print one up. And that's what we're going to use today. And of course, a little bit of rubber cement is also helpful. All right, so let's jump in, get started, and go from there. Oops, we're gonna zoom in here. So my texture plate was wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry that out because it just came out of the pickle. You can't glue on that. And I also made my sheet wet here, so we'll do that. All right. So first things first, we're going to cut out our shape. I went ahead and cleaned my copper, okay? So when you're enameling, you need to make sure that your copper is clean, clean, clean. Because when they process copper, they process it with oils, and that creates a barrier to your enamel. So you make sure that you clean that off. I'm going to show you in the second step how to clean that. We're just sort of fast forwarding this because, you know, we only have so much time and I'm gonna lose you guys if I drag this out. So make sure it's clean. You can use Penny Bright to clean it, or you can fire it and put it into pickle to clean it. So we're using 24 gauge texture plates is what we're using, is just in case anybody is wondering. By the way, if you are rolling out your own metal, make sure that you roll out something, you start with something a little heavier, like 22 gauge if you're rolling it out, because it's gonna flatten it just a bit, right? Okay, so there I am. Make sure it's nice and secure. And let's pull out our shears to cut that. All right. So I'm gonna start with my straight shears to cut this, okay? And just follow the line. So what's great about straight shears is that they cut straight. However, cutting curves is a little bit more challenging, and that's why I have my curve shears to cut my curves, okay? Now remember, if you're using straight shears versus curve shears can cut curves, but they really can't cut straight. But straight shears, if you don't have curve shears, you can use the straight shears to cut curves. It's just not as easy. So really, in the end, your curve shears are a luxury item. But it's really nice to have, just in case you're doing a lot of this. So when I was working on this project during my last Twitch, which I haven't, on a Saturday, which I haven't done in a while, someone asked me if these were punched out. Well, the answer was no. I actually cut these by hand. But if you have a punch, have at it. And if you also have a template to use, like, you know, not a circle template, but a heart template, you can use that too, right? Okay, Okay, so I'm just going to use this, and I'm just going to cut these curves like so, and this one, just going to go like that. Oh, good. Okay, so there's my heart. Let's take that off. Ugh. There we go. Let's clear our workspace. The glue came right off. I'm pretty satisfied that this is clean, so I'm going to leave it there. You'll want to file the edges if you created any burrs or anything like that, or if you need to reshape this, you'll want to give it a little bit of a file. I'm not going to go too nutty on this. Okay. And just take it off, just like so. Just a little bit of filing. If you want to put some sandpaper to it, you can too, if you're finding that your edges are too sharp. Okay. I'm also going to hit that corner because I don't want that to scratch anyone. Just a little bit, because I want to maintain a corner, so, and I don't want to create a radius, right? All right, so now I'm going to take out my Sharpie, and I'm going to mark where I want, oops, I'm going to mark where I want the hole for the top. I want pretty darn close to the top there, like so. And then I'm going to pull out my center finder to help me figure out where to put the hole on the bottom. And you see, I'm using this to my advantage. Can you see that? I'm just going to line up that line to the hole to the bottom point of my heart. And that's going to help me figure out where this should go. Okie dokie. Oops. Just like that. Okay. I dropped my pen on the floor. Give me a second. Okay, so now I want to trace a 1/4 inch hole on the bottom. There we go. And I'm going to use my circle template to do this because what's nice about them is they have these markers, right? And I can use that to help me line this up. Like so. So why am I struggling with this? This is not something I should be struggling with. And this is going to help me figure out where to cut this. There we go. Should be good. All right, so I have my my disc cutter. That's the one I'm going to want. Let's go ahead. And what I like to do is I like to put this inside and line it up. That's the point. I know that's my head. Give me a second. That's the point of drawing this out so I know exactly where to go. Okay? Let's see. Put that in there. Give it a whack, and voila. You can save this for a future project because it is a disc. And there's my hole. Take out your hole punch. Again, you can use a drawdown punch or you can use a hand punch and just punch a hole there at the top. And here's a trick a student mentioned to me is go in from the back side too. By doing that, it removes the burrs. Huh, I love that trick. Never thought about doing it that way. And that was just like a month ago, so that's new to me. All right, so here we are. You have your shape, you have your holes. Let's dap it, okay? So it's up to you which way you want to dap this. So for mine, you can see the curve. It's convex, but it's concaved. But you can do it convex if you'd like to. And what's nice about doing this is it strengthens the piece for enameling, okay? So that's why a lot of enameled pieces are curved. So that's it, just a really simple, I just want a little bit. I don't want it to be too dramatic. Again, it was just a little bit, just to add a little bit of flair. All right, so now we're going to counter enamel this first. And I am going to, oops, you'll need a toothbrush, I'm sorry, not a toothbrush, but you'll need a paintbrush today and some holding agent, which I forgot. Oops. I pulled it out and left it on the other bench, but you'll need a little bit of holding agent. Holding agent and clear fire are the same thing. Some people like to use hairspray, but I don't care for hairspray in my studio because it gets everywhere. I mean, think about it. If you actually use hairspray and you're in your bathroom, you know it is everywhere. Do you want that in your studio too? No, you don't. So if you have holding agent, make sure that it is diluted. Clear fire is holding agent that has been diluted for you. So either way, okay. So I'm just going to take a little bit. I have mine in a dish and it's been diluted already. And this is especially important for a piece that is curved, right? Because your enamel is not going to stick, okay? Now, notice I'm going to work on my hands because this piece is convex right now. And there's no chance of getting it to all the sides if you just have it flat on your bench. So I'm going to put it in my hands so I can articulate it like so, okay? And take out a little bit of counter enamel. Counter enamel is the enamel that goes on the back side. If you don't have counter enamel, you can use black or white or brown. I would never use red because red is expensive, okay? And since we are torch firing, you're gonna more than likely ruin that backside anyway. So you wanna go ahead and use an enamel that is inexpensive. So notice now I'm going to sift, and I'm sifting starting from the outside, working in a spiral, towards the middle. Ooh, and notice how I'm articulating my hands. I'm going to start over there and make sure I get to those edges like so. Here's a safety tip. Do not lick your fingers. I see students do this all the time. Remember, we are working with basically crushed glass is what we're working with. And you don't want to be ingesting this at all. It's dangerous, okay? Okay, so there were some spots on there that I did not get enamel on. You want to make sure you have a nice, even surface, okay, of enamel. You don't want to see copper through here. If you see copper, go ahead and cover it up. I also see a mistake that people do is when they sift all over the place. Make sure you sift, try to at least sift in a spiral towards the middle. Okay, set that aside and zoom out. And we're going to set this on our tripod gently. And I have a little, here's a tool that everybody should have. Yes, go find an old fork, stainless steel fork. This is cool. A student came up with this and I love it. See that? Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so you want to make sure that this piece is dry before you fire it or else it's going to start bubbling. I'm going to leave it there for a second while I clean up, just to give it an extra second to dry. Now, if you're working in an environment that's really humid and things don't dry very quickly, you might want to invest in a mug warmer, and then you can put your pieces on the mug warmer to help it warm up. If you're kiln firing, enamelists will put it on top of the kiln to dry. So remember, you want this to dry because the liquid from the holding agent will make the enamel bubble. This is not really important here on the back side as it is on the front side. And it's so strange, doesn't? Okay, that's on my screen. I saw a hole in my enamel, but it's actually on my screen. Ha! Okay, dirty screen. Now, I know this is a little peculiar. I'm sort of off of the camera because I'm on a 9-inch tripod. so that I can get my torch underneath instead of a 6-inch tripod, which I don't think you can tell the difference in dimension here, but we're that far off. I can't get my torch underneath to fire this, so I'm on a 9-inch tripod. And the problem is I'm going to torch my camera. So the camera is clearly a little off, and I'm over here to fire it. So yeah, I'm going to also switch camera views so you can see what I'm doing. Okie dokie. See? So I'm going to go underneath. I really love this pistol torch. That's not helpful. Okay, we'll do that again. I really love this pistol torch that I was about to show you for enameling because there's so much heat. But you know what? I knocked my piece, you can see that, and I need to re-sift that. Okay. So this has happened, and I get this question a lot, so might as well have it happen here, right? Is what happens when you do something silly like what I just did and knocked it? You just re-sift it is what you're going to do. Do you need to take everything off and start over? I don't know, maybe. Because if you didn't get enough holding agent on here, or it's too dry and it's not sticking, then you're going to need to. This is especially important on the front. On the back, I'm not so worried. Because remember, the whole point of counter enamel is to basically counterbalance the enamel on the front, right? So the counter enamel, how thick does it need to be? I try to get it to about the same thickness as the front, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. The whole point of counter enamel really is to basically vise in the metal so that it doesn't flex, okay, and crack. And that's part of the problem. If you're getting cracking in your enamel, it might be that you don't have enough counter enamel on the back, or that you didn't counter enamel at all. Okay, I always like to leave my finger out here like this one, just in case it decides to tip over. There we are. All right, let's try not to do that again. And we're gonna switch cameras again. There we go. So I'm gonna come right underneath. I'm looking at my camera up there. Make sure that I'm not gonna torch it. Yipes. And we're gonna go right in there. So notice I'm right up to my my copper metal, and we're gonna get it hot. I'm not doing this. A lot of people do this. It doesn't help. So there's a big beefy torch head here. So just gently move it around. And what you're looking for, which you sort of can't tell here, what you're looking for is for the surface of the enamel to look like orange peel. So at first it looks like sand, and then it's going to look like sugar, and now it looks like the surface of an orange, okay? So that's what you're looking for, because we don't need to get it to a high gloss because we're going to be firing again. All right, I'm gonna take that. Don't quench this because it is, you see there? It sort of looks like orange peel. Don't quench this because it is glass. So I'm gonna put it on my bench block right there and let it cool, okay? So what happens if you have overfired this? Nothing really. It's fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. But they say that you need to, if you're doing layers, you need to just get it to orange peel as you do the layers until you finally get to that final layer. You're going to fire it to gloss, okay? So while we're waiting for this to cool, I'm going to put away my enamels. We want to try to keep everything neat. The reason for the magazine pages is now that I'm done with this one, I can toss it so that there's not cross-contamination to the next color that I'm going to do. Okay, so that's nice and cool. I put it on my bench block because a bench block makes a really nice heat sink, okay? So now I'm gonna grab some Penny Bright in my hands and I'm just gonna scrub it. Can you pickle this? It's not necessarily recommended to pickle enamels, okay, because it may etch the surface of the enamel. Although because I'm firing again, pickling is not a bad thing, because I'm going to be firing again. And if I did etch, the surface of the enamel is going to come back and be a shiny surface again. Considering that this is a piece of texture, it's going to take a little, you need to get a little aggressive here and get it into those nice crevices in there. You may want to take out an old toothbrush. Remember, I told you a toothbrush is a really good thing on your workbench. So you can use a toothbrush and scrub this. I would usually be doing this in the sink and not on my workbench. I should have been working on this scrap piece of paper because my penny bright's getting all over the place. Okay, so you see how clean that's getting? I'm gonna get every little bit out. Yep. So I'm just gonna rinse it in some clean water. Another thing too is if you have lotion on your hands, you do want to make sure that your hands are free of any oils, because sometimes that will contaminate the enamels and it won't work. Okay, so there we are, we're nice and clean. All right. I'm gonna dry that off. Okay. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna clean off all this stuff too. Okay. Okay. So a new clean sheet of recycled magazine pages, or whatever it is that you want to use. We like magazine pages because it's slick, right? And the enamels will move right off. So now I'm going to, again, with the holding agent or clear fire, I'm going to put a layer on the top side here, and I'll be enameling that. So today I'm using beryl green, one of my favorite colors. So you want to make sure that you're using transparents, okay? So the key is we're trying to let the design show through. If you're using an opaque, there's no point. You can do this with plain copper if you want to, like plain copper sheet, and but you just won't have a design. Okay, so again, I'm going to sift this in my hands so that I can articulate the piece and get up those curves. So you want to hold it at an angle like so. And just sift it. Again, working from the outside in a spiral towards the center. Just like so. And I want a really nice layer on here. If after you fire it the first time you decide that it wasn't enough enamel, you can do it again. It's not a problem. Okay? I think that's pretty good. We're going to hold that there. Set this to the side. I try to move the my enamel workspace, I guess you can say, the magazine pages off, and I try to make sure that I close my containers, because if I fire near there, the soot I've been noticing the soot from the mesh will contaminate my enamels. Next thing you know, I have black specks in it, right? So the question again is, what's the difference between holding agent and clear fire? Okay, so clear fire is holding agent that's been diluted. Okay, when you buy holding agent, you need to dilute it 50-50 with water. When you buy clear fire, you don't have to dilute it. It literally is the name brand from Thompson Enamel. Okay, that is it. They are more or less the same thing. All right, so I have it here on my tripod. It looks dry to me. How can you tell that it's wet? It literally looks like wet sand, okay? And again, another thing too is once you start firing, if it starts bubbling, that means it's wet. Personally, I would stop and back off and let it sit there for a few minutes to give it an opportunity to dry, because you also put a 2500 degree torch to it. So you heat it up just a little bit. It'll dry a little bit quicker, but anyway, so there we are. We're gonna fire this again. I need to move this off to the side. I'm gonna switch cameras for you and show you how we fire that. So we're gonna come from underneath, and this time I'm gonna take it all the way to gloss, okay? So notice I'm working underneath, just like so. But what's interesting here is with the transparent enamels is what you need to look for. Most people, when they fire transparent enamels, they are under firing it. So here you'll see that it's an orange peel surface, and it's going to start looking like gloss. And people will stop there. But because we're enameling on copper, you have that red from the copper, and it distorts the color. So what you need to do is you need to fire a little bit longer to allow the enamels to absorb and get rid of the fire scale from the copper. And you'll see it's starting to look golden, okay? I think you can see that there in the corner. It's starting to look a little bit more golden, and I'm starting to see the pattern from the texture plate. So again, looking at my screen, it looks like you can't tell that it is smooth, but I'm still firing to get this to get the colors to come out a little bit better. So if your colors are looking muddy, or if you look at the enamels and one side looks a little red and the other side doesn't, that's the copper oxides that you're looking at. Aha, see there? It's starting to come up right there. And I'm trying to get this corner. It looks like I probably put more enamel on that corner than I needed to, because it's having a hard time coming up, but it's coming. Okay, yeah, you see? So you need to fire a little bit longer when you're using transparents if you want a true color from the transparent colors, or else again that copper oxide is going to interfere and give it a little bit of a red hue. So we'll zoom in for you a little bit here and you can see. Okay, so what you're looking at is you can see the textures coming up, and the red copper oxides have disappeared. If you didn't do it correctly and you see all this red copper oxide, what you can do is you can put it right back in and fire it again. Absolutely. It'll take twice as long, but it absolutely does work. You can also tell how I sifted on this piece. You can see that I sifted a little bit more heavily here and not as much down here. That's okay. I'm pretty okay with that. So a couple things to know. Notice my dry enamel color. Let's zoom out so you can see that. My dry enamel color and my fired enamel color looks very different, right? Actually, that's not helpful. This is probably more helpful, so you can see. Remember, dry enamel and fired enamel are can be two very different colors. So don't trust what you see with the dry. Here's a hint for you. If you're new to this and you're unfamiliar with the colors, what I would do is go to our website, buy a either 3/8 inch or a 1/2 inch bag of discs, and enamel all of them, enamel a sample of all your colors, and put it on top of your container, so you'll always know what it looks like, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. It's probably stuck, and I'm right. So you want to go ahead, don't try to pry this apart, just put it on something hard and give it a little knock like that. It'll come right out, okay? Maybe move this aside and we'll do a little bit more work. So we'll let that cool, and hot enamel versus cooled enamel are also two different colors. So when you're firing like red, it always turns black, and people sort of panic about that. Don't worry, because it will come back to red. It's sort of magical, actually. It's just sort of fun to watch. But there's a lot of colors that don't reveal themselves until they are cool. So don't panic. All right, let's come in and see what we're doing here. Here we go. Okay. There you are. I love it. It makes me happy. All right, so let's make let's make the arrow. All right. So I'm going to start off with 18 gauge metal, and I'm going to pull out my chain nose and my round nose. Let's see, there you are. And I'm just going to make a triangle at the very bottom. Just going to estimate that. It's teeny weeny. There we go. Just like so. Just making bends to make a triangle. And then when you come to the top, notice how I'm eyeballing it right there. And we're going to bend it up. Okay? Pretty easy. I'm going to bend that a little bit more. There we go. And how long do you want this? I don't know. Something like that? Okay. Up to you. And give myself about 1/4 inch to make a loop at the top. Make sure this is nice and straight. You can use your nylon nose pliers if you want to straighten that out. And then on the same plane, you're going to make the loop for the top, okay? So make sure you're using it on the same plane, and we're just going to make a little loop, about 4 millimeters, and loop it back, just like that. So you see what I mean? That it's on the same plane, that this loop is not flipped the other way, okay? Take out your chasing hammer. You don't have to do this part, but I thought it brought a little bit of extra interest to it. I'm just going to flatten my arrow. Just a little bit with your chasing hammer on the bench block. Just like so. Okay. It opened up a little bit. There we go. So now we'll make some earring wires. I'll use my 20 gauge wire to make earring wires. I'll cut 2 pieces at about 2 1/4 to 2 1/2. Like so. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy multi-looping plier. It makes really nice quick work of earring wires, right? You don't need an earring wire jig when you have a multi-looping plier. Notice I'm going to do it together, just like that. And then I'm going to go down to either the second largest loop or the largest loop, whichever you like. And I'm just going to bend it backwards, just like so. Whatever shape you like and however long you like. Today I did a little bit differently than I did before. You see, slightly different in shape. Okay. And because I changed the shape, this is a little bit too long. I'll just take it off. And on the back side, I'm going to make a little bit of a duck bill. And bend it up. So there we go. And you don't have to do this part. This is also optional. Sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes I like to flatten the shoulders. Some people say that it stays in their ear a little bit better when they have that. So just a little bit of flattening, not a ton. go. Pull out your chain nose, and then you'll need a couple of jump rings. To get this to hang properly, you're going to need 2 jump rings. You could, if you wanted to, you could have made these loops extra large so that you could go through right there. But I wanted this to hang just a little bit as part of the design, okay? So the question is, do I use a burr cup on the ends of the wire? I should. A little lazy for that, but you're right. I don't know who asked that question. You should be using a burr cup on the ends of your wire. If not, you can actually, if you don't have a burr cup, you can definitely use a file or a little bit of sanding on the ends there. So the question, whoever asked it, the question about that is, you know, it is a little sharp. So just like so. But burr cups are really great for this. I don't even know where mine is. I'm sorry, Andy. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Okay, so I'm just going to put a jump ring in there, and I'm going to add another one so it goes in the right direction, and close that up. So I just opened up a jump ring. You use 5 or 6 millimeter jump rings, or a combination of is fine. And then, oh, did you see that? I forgot the arrow. Oops. So the arrow goes up and right in there. Okay. Close the jump ring. Almost done. If you want to patina this, you can. Yes, mine looks patinaed because it's been sitting here for 3 weeks. Open up your earring wire. Just like so. Hello. There we go. Okay. And you have an earring. Or a pendant if you want to, that's up to you. Okay, so the key takeaway for today is in the transparent, okay? It's about the firing of the transparent. I know many of you have, you know, have enameled on enameled transparents on copper. And one of the biggest complaints is that it's never the right color, it's never the color you thought it was. That's because you're under firing, because the copper color and those copper oxides, the fire scale is distorting the color of your transparents. So until you fire it so it burns off, and until you fire enough for it to burn off, you won't get a nice pure color. So you need to make sure that you fire it more, right? That's the key. Okay, I'll show you a little bit closer. You can see it does look a little golden. Now, if you want a really, really pure color, then you'll want to do this on silver. Yeah. So I've had people say to me, why would you ever enamel on silver? Because see, they're so used to enameling on copper that they don't realize that enameling on silver can be absolutely amazing and absolutely beautiful. If you go to my website, qfarmgray.com, and look into the intermediate projects, I have one there called Silver Illuminations, and it's a class on enameling on silver. But you can see in the picture pretty quickly that it just glows, and it's really cool. But the one thing I would never do is I would never use opaques on silver. That's a legit question. Like, why would you ever put opaques on silver? That's just really expensive. And so for most people, when they're enameling on copper, they're using opaques because they just want to cover it up. Because, you know, what's the point if you can't see the silver through the enamel? So thus, when you go to gold, I know all of you guys are jumping into doing gold cloisonné, right? When you go to gold, you can add the gold presents this really beautiful reflection in your transparent enamels. You would rarely ever see opaque enamels on gold because of that reflective value, right? Additionally, what about cleaning enamels? Well, when we're torch firing, because it is such a, shall we say, organic process, you know, cleaning your enamels is not necessary, is not needed, right? But if I was to be doing cloisonne and doing gold or silver, yeah, I would absolutely clean the enamels. And why do you clean the enamels? Because it actually gives you a much more rich and pure color. And that's why we clean enamels. Anyway, if you have any questions, do reach out and send it out to me. You could have asked questions throughout here. We'll be back next week on Monday to do some more enameling. What's the project? Project is, let me grab it. It's called Curlicue. I know. Couldn't come up with anything else. We're going with this one. So Curlicue is next week. We're gonna add some dimension to We're gonna add some dimension to our enamels, and we are going to enamel some more copper. Again, the Motley metal kits are still available. What's going on this week? So today's Monday. So on Wednesday we have Step-by-Step Surprise Valentino. Going to be a great project. Pretty excited about that. And then on Friday, we're doing a Zoom along and a Zoom and the Zoom project Foursquare. Okay, so for those of you who are signed up for Foursquare, just remember it's a little earlier than usual. I believe we're doing it at 11 o'clock, if not 11:30, I can't remember. And so that's what's going on this week. Question I see there, when will VEC classes be posted? We are so close. I have some more edits. I'm hoping for tomorrow, so look for that. But I just posted it to the instructors. All the instructors have been notified. There's 27 instructors, and I believe we are going to round out at 115 classes. So that's pretty exciting. So definitely virtuallyevercrafting.com. Look for it tomorrow. I'll announce it on my Facebook page, on the Q Talk Facebook page, on the Virtually Ever Crafting Community Facebook page, and I'm sure you'll see all the other instructors posting that too. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a coupon here at the end of the week, so maybe look first and see. There's a couple new things on there that will help you make a decision as to which classes you might want, because there's, 115 classes. We're putting up a list view so you can see everything in one shot, which might be helpful. Otherwise, you guys can just peruse the website and see what all is there. But I'm pretty excited. Thanks for asking. So last question is, how do you sign up for next Friday's jig use demo? So next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday we have a Zoom with purchase. So if you purchase the prong setting jig, that's right, I'm sorry. So if you purchase a prong setting jig, it comes with the Zoom. So if you can go to our website, beader.com, and if you just do a search on prong setting jig, you can go ahead and order it there. Just to let you know, we are currently sold out, and it probably will not deliver until after next Friday. But hopefully it'll come in sometime this week and will get shipped out this week. That's what we're hoping for. But anyway, so we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here and supporting us. And we will see you on Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day. I'm going to go back to work on Virtually Ever Crafting. Just